Sales is the lifeblood of your agency. If you can't predictably take completely random people who have never heard of you and predictably convert them into happy paying clients of your agency, are you really even running an agency or are you just running a hobby? Because if you can't sell, if you don't have a predictable sales process that predictably closes people and closes the right people who actually you should be working with, everything is going to be so much harder. Like your cold email campaigns are not going to be as profitable. Your clients are going to leave you. You're not going to get good customer results. You're going to get, you have to like always drop your price because people don't really actually see the value of your offer. And yeah, everything is just going to be pretty terrible. And I've been in sales for 8 years of my life. And I'm 24, so that's 25% of my life, which is pretty crazy. A lot of sales experience. I've ran big sales teams, or big and big, but like 10 to 15 people multiple times. I've broken a lot of records in different industries. I've built my own sales teams. I built sales teams for companies. I've taken, I don't even know how many sales calls for my agency and for our offers. And yeah, also worked with over 500 different growth marketing agencies and different agencies in different niches and help them with their sales process and niche. So it's a big part of what I do and big part of why I consider that a lot of the stuff that we do works so well. I've been able to take so many sales calls that I know pretty well what works or not. So what I'll do in this call is I will give you my word by word sales script. And that is based on 2 different calls. So the sales process that I use, it's a disco demo sales call or sales process. So there's 2 calls. I will give you a script or a structure for both of those calls. And I'll show you how to run it. I'll also give you a sales deck that we've also used in the past. And I'll just show you how to run these calls at a successful rate. So when you start taking sales calls for your agency, or probably already are taking sales calls for your agency, it's way easier for you to improve your closing rate and actually get the right customers in at a predictable rate. Also, when you have a good structure of the sales call, it's way easier to track data. A lot of people, when they try to improve at sales, they know their sales suck, but they don't really know why. They just think that it's, I'm just not good at sales. But in a lot of cases, it's not the whole sales process that is broken. It's actually something way smaller. But they don't know how many discovery calls they are taking, how many calls they're disqualifying, how many objections they are getting, what objections they are getting, when are they losing frame, etc., etc., etc. So it's impossible to track if your process is unpredictable. So yeah, I hope that this video will fix that for you. So this is going to be valuable for you if you run any kind of agency and you're doing like sub 100,000 a month, because if you're doing over 100,000 a month, you probably already have a pretty solid sales process, I would imagine. But yeah, if you run a B2B lead gen agency, SMMA, AI automation, content, copywriting, whatever, even if you're just a freelancer, this is still gonna be good for you. But yeah, so we can hop in straight here. So this is pretty much my 2-step sales process script for selling agency offers. And here I have a really important reminder. I'll actually make this a bit bigger. I have a really important reminder here is that every salesperson and call is unique. The purpose of this script isn't to be read line by line like a robot. Use this as a structure for a calls and adapt it to your own style and preference. Because this script feels natural to me, because it's my own words, it's my own tonalities and pacings and all of these things, but it might not be natural for you. Maybe you even convert it to a different language, maybe you speak in a different way, maybe you have a different kind of approach to sales calls in general, how you present yourself in there. If that's the case, you have to also adapt it, otherwise you're gonna sound like a robot. Like probably all of us have had an experience where we hop into a sales call and then the sales rep is clearly just fucking reading a script. And they sound like a robot and it's terrible and you just don't respect them at all. So I don't want that to happen to you. So remember, this is just the outline. None of the specific words on this script either make it or break it. It's the whole structure of it. But if you change a word around or change a sentence around or change something around, it's not gonna make it or break it unless you add something stupid in there. But yeah, so through this document, I have used a few different colors to just emphasize on different meanings of the colors. So black text is pretty much things that you just say and basic headlines, etc. Blue is tonality and body language for the segment. Red is activities and notes, and pink is objection handling and questions. So that's pretty much it. So the first call we always do is the discovery call. So I've never been a huge fan of one call closes, when we are selling big high ticket offers. If you're selling something super cheap, like $1,000 a month retainers, like yeah, you can probably one call close that. You don't really need to do any crazy backflips in that sales process. But if we are selling something more expensive to a more sophisticated audience, we want to always split it in two. First call, 30 minutes, is the disco call. And in this call, you just pretty much figure out if you can even work with this prospect. You are asking their, figuring out their goals, their pains, their past solutions, how everything has worked, etc., etc., etc. And you're doing this for two reasons. First of all, you're trying to figure out if you can help this prospect. Second of all, you're just gathering ammunition that if you go to the second call with this prospect, you have like a bunch of information that you can use to tailor your pitch to them and close them, you know? And also it's just great to talk with someone and ask them questions. Like sales is all about trust. Like what you're really trying to convey is just trust. If someone trusts you 100%, like you can pretty much sell anything. Like think about it. If you have a person in your life that you trust 100%, like maybe your mom, your dad, a great friend of yours, your wife, your boyfriend, whatever. If you trust them 100%, like no matter what they say, you would buy. They're like, hey, this is fucking crazy thing. Even if it's all your life savings, you would probably buy that. Because you have such a strong level of trust. So we're always trying to build trust with our prospects and get our prospects to trust us. And if you really think about it, how does someone start trusting someone? And how do people build trust between each other? They build trust by getting to know each other. And how do we get to know each other is we ask questions about them. So what pretty much we are doing here on the discovery call is we are asking questions about them and their business so we can get to know them, they can get to know us, and that automatically builds trust, you know? So the first segment of the discovery call is the intro. And this is going to be, once again, you can adapt it, but in general, this should be around 1 to 3 minutes. And pretty much what you just say, you say, hey, John, can you hear and see me okay? I like to start my call with this, get the prospect engaged. Okay, boom, I can. It's also a nice icebreaker, you know, if you just hop into the call and you're like, how's the weather? You know, it's like, I think it's great. Straight to the point. Hey, John, can you see me? Perfect. Where are you calling from? Once again, optional. I like to always ask where they're from. I've done a lot of traveling. I know a lot of people around the world. So usually there are some common ground that we can connect on based on where they are. And once again, we are just getting to know them. Maybe there is cultural differences in different areas. I know that, if they're from here, I need to approach the call this way. Or if they're from here, I need to approach the call this way because there are cultural differences. So where are you calling from? Beautiful. So if you're ready, let's jump straight into the business. And here you want to use an upward inflection at the end of the sentence to make it into a question. You don't have to, but that's what I do. So if you're ready, let's jump straight into the business, yeah? And boom, that's like a question. And the prospect says, yeah, let's do it, man. And here you can also optionally, you can do a bit of small talk. I like to do small talk, but I didn't want to script out small talk because that's fucking terrible. So I like to always ask, where are you from? They're like, I'm from here. That's super cool. I actually went there last year. I went to this city. Have you been here? Oh yeah, that's nice. Super great. How's life there? And then they ask me where I'm from. And then I tell them, and I like to do that, you know? I like to spend 1 or 2 minutes on that, in that song and dance stuff. So after the prospect agrees, we always want to ask for permission to do things. Otherwise the prospect feels that we're just fucking, we don't care about them. So are you ready to jump straight in? Yes, sir. Boom. Amazing. So John, like I mentioned before, this call is going to be a discovery call. So of course, this once again might depend. They might not know this, but if you have used a cold email or a cold call or something to book this call and you have said, hey, let's book a discovery call, then they should already know this. If they don't, and you use a different way to book these calls, then you might have to clarify this. But always, my prospects already know this. So I say, hey, so John, like I mentioned before, this call is going to be a discovery call, meaning that in this call, there will be no offer, prices, or decisions to make. So this, when you say that to the prospect, it drops their guard. They don't have to be like, you know, when you're in a sales call, you're always a little bit like on your back foot, a little bit like your guard up. You're like, I'm trying to see if there's any tricks here and I need to be really, really attentive and I can't give too much, you know, like, you know, people have fucking crazy things that they do on sales calls because they think that they're getting sold to. People hate to getting sold to, so they like to reserve themselves. So I like to do this to make sure that the prospect is as open and can just be as transparent and honest as possible in the call because they know, okay, there's not going to be any pitching here. There's not going to be any selling. I can say whatever I say and it's not going to quote unquote turn against me, you know, because people think crazy things about sales calls. The purpose of this call is just to see what your current situation is and to see if we'd be even able to help you. Once again, this creates great frame. It's like, hey, we have no rush. We don't need you as a client. We don't need you. We're just trying to see first if this even makes sense. We don't know. Great frame. If after the call, I feel that we'll be a fit, we'll book a second call for later this week / early next week, where we'll go through all the details of what it looks like to work with us and make a decision if we'll move forward or not. Also, the reason why we do this, and we only have the discovery call where there's no pitching or closing, is we can pre-handle or like preset the frame for the second call really well. Like we can say, hey, it's going to be a decision-making call. We need all the decision makers, blah, 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 and get the prospect to agree on them. So then we don't have the battle with like the really annoying, I'll have to think about it objections. You still might get them, but I have seen that the reason why I started doing this in the first place is because it just removes a lot of those really silly objections because the frame is already set. So if for some reason I feel that we can't help you, I'll let you know immediately and recommend you another service provider or product. Also, I record these calls for note-taking purposes in case I need to go back to something in the offer creation process. You just tell them, boom, also this call is being recorded just for note-taking purposes. When we are creating a proposal for you, you might want to go back, double check some information. So, I hope that's fine. Sound fair? And this is straight from Jordan Belfort. I used to read all his books and everything. So that's just something that in a lot of cases just stuck to me. Sound fair? But you can say whatever, once again, it's not based on the exact words. Hey, does this sound okay? Are you fine with that? Sounds like a good plan. And then you get the prospect to agree. If the prospect does not agree or gives pushback saying, hey, I want to hear the price on this call or something similar, you want to address the objection immediately before moving on to the next stage. If you immediately give in here to the prospect might say, hey, we were actually really looking forward to hearing the price here. And you're like, oh, let's see what we can do. Like you immediately fuck the frame. The prospect has control of the call. And then it's like, then you have to give some kind of price at the end of the call. And if you don't, the prospect feels that you betrayed them or whatever. Once again, with sales, what I have seen, it's just better to be overly, not overly protective of other people's feelings, but because obviously in sales calls, you have to be honest, and sometimes you're just going to say things that people don't like and it's going to hurt their feelings. But more so what I mean is in sales calls, you want to take all the small details or small possibilities of someone feeling betrayed or feeling that you fucked them over somehow. Because if that happens, you lose trust immediately. And obviously the prospect won't buy in most cases there. Or they might, but at least you lower your chances. So I like to handle these things immediately and as much as I can. So they might say, hey, I actually was looking forward to hearing the price on this call since we're looking to make a decision on this ASAP. So then what you can say, once again, doesn't specific matter what wording you use, but what I say, hey, John, I 100% understand that. Objection handling framework that I usually use is I first agree, then I handle the objection, and then I'll go, I agree on it so they don't feel stupid and they feel understood. I handle the objection, and then I move on from it with a close. So yeah, John, I 100% understand that. Time is valuable, and I truly don't want to waste it. And that is the exact reason why the first call will only be a discovery call. I'm going to ensure that the proposal I make to you actually makes sense. After this call, I'll go to the drawing board and create you a custom plan offer based on your situation. I've seen that this way everything is streamlined, and I only need to present our offer once, and it saves both of us time and energy. If that's a problem, I'll gladly point you towards a service provider that has more of a rinse and repeat approach. So then you can a little bit throw rocks at other service providers by saying, hey guy, if someone gives you offer immediately, they're rinse and repeat, that's a negative term that people have in their mind. Once again, as you can even hear, when I'm reading this, it doesn't sound supernatural. So this is more of a structure. Hey John, I 100% understand it, but what I've seen is boom, 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 boom. But if you still want to get the price right now, immediately, that's completely fine. I'll just point you towards someone who has a bit of a more copy and paste process, so they can always give you a price immediately upfront on their website. We unfortunately don't do that. They might say, I don't want this call recorded. John, I assure you that the call will never be shared outside of the team. I just want to make sure that I don't miss any key information during the process. Unfortunately, my note-taking speed isn't as fast as our ability to speak. Ha 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 ha, funny joke. If the prospect really pushes back on getting the call recorded, just fucking stop the recording. It's not worth losing the deal over that recording. But in a lot of cases, it's you can just handle it this way. Also, I know there's a lot of these frame games and these things. If you go into like a lot of sales information online, it's like, never give up the frame, always tell the prospect what to do, etc. I don't super hardcore believe in that. I know that frame and authority and status is all things that really exist in the sales process. It's really built into human nature and wired into our brains 100%. But you don't want to go overboard with it. If the prospect keeps telling you, hey, I don't want this call recorded, just give it up, man. It doesn't really matter that much. And if you lose the sale because you didn't record the call or like you lost the frame there, it's like you probably would have not made the sale anyways. So yeah. But I always like to push back on the initial objection. It's just a good practice to be in, and usually like the first objection, you can always handle it when you do it the right. But yeah, this is pretty much A1 section, and this is the intro to the call, 1 to 3 minutes. Then we move into the big main part of the discovery call, which is of course discovery. Usually this takes around 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how talkative the prospect is. Some of the prospects talk like crazy and the call goes on for like an hour, but usually 20 minutes. So, great, John. So to start everything off, I'm super interested in hearing why in the first place you decided to take time out of your busy schedule to hop in this call. We say they have a busy schedule, they feel important, but it also is a really, really, really important key point because it usually opens the doors to their like initial goals or initial reasons. And you can get a lot of ammunition and information from this question. And during the discovery questions, take notes on your CRM. You don't need to get every word down or write perfect grammar, just write bullet points, but don't let it distract the conversation. So what I usually do when I'm in a sales call, I just have my CRM open and then I ask, hey, why did you hop into the call? And they start saying, we tried cold email. So then I might write, tried cold email, didn't work. And we want to really scale to 50K, blah, blah, whatever, so I just like write these really cryptic notes, and then at the end of the call I go back to these calls and I double check it with the call recording, or in a lot of cases I have just gotten used to reading my cryptic writing from sales call notes, and then I know, okay, if I wrote want to scale 50K, then I know it's probably they want to scale to 50,000, I don't think there's any point in like trying to write perfect grammar and taking perfect notes in the calls. Sometimes you want to do it for pacing purposes, but that's more advanced besides the point. In a lot of cases, just write what you can. Engage with active listening while the prospect answers. Say things like, yeah, interesting, okay. Like that. It sounds super dumb when I do it alone. It's like, yeah, interesting, okay. Like it sounds stupid, but it's really important. Also nod your head and lean in while they are talking. So when they're talking, lean a little bit, nod your head. Don't nod it too much because you're gonna look like an idiot if you're like this for the whole call. But nod your head while they're talking. Show that you're actively listening. If you're like checking other tabs, checking your phone, looking at the walls, they're gonna feel that you don't fucking care, and that once again breaks trust, and they don't want to buy from you. So participate in active listening. And then you continue with the discovery questions, and I have just linked here. So pretty much holy shit, I accidentally opened Slack. Damn, my bad. So pretty much discovery call questions, what it looks like is, once again, these have to be adapted a little bit to different offers, but this is a pretty good framework if you're doing growth marketing. First, why did they agree on this call? What is their current goal? Why aren't they there yet? So, okay, where do we want to be at? We want to be at $1 million a month. Okay, why do you think you are not there? What have you tried to get there? How did it work? How long did you stick with it? What else have you tried? What do they sell? Who do they sell to? So their offer and their niche. How do they generate leads right now? Why that method? What problems do they solve? What is their closing rate? What is their LTV? What is their average deal size? Do they have case studies? Do they have guarantees? So here we pretty much can split these discovery questions into two different segments. First, we have fundamentally important things. So for example, why did they hop on the call? And what specifically intrigued them? They might say like, hey, we wanted to hop on the call because your approach was really unique, and I really like how you do it this way instead of like everyone else does it that way. And then you get like a really key piece of information. They really like our unique approach, and then you make your whole pitch around that unique approach, because that's clearly the thing why they came in here in the first place. What's their current goal, and why aren't they there yet, and what's their current situation? So you always want to map out where are they right now, and where do they want to be. So I want to find the gap, you know, and what things have they tried to do to close the gap. These are extremely important as well, and I see a lot of people who are bad at sales miss this because they don't think it matters. But of course it matters. Like, let's say you're selling cold email lead generation and someone tells you, hey, we tried cold email already, but it didn't work, and we did it for 12 months, and we did it with an agency. Like, that's super key information, because then if you're selling cold email, it's like, okay, I need to show why their past agency failed and why it didn't work the last time and why it will be different this time. But if they tell, hey, we have never tried cold email, then they are maybe they're not even bought into cold email, so you have to focus your pitch around the fact why cold email is the best mechanism for them to use, instead of why you are the best cold email service provider. You know, so it depends a lot on the pitch, what they have tried in the past. And let's say they tell you, we tried LinkedIn, we tried ads, we tried YouTube, we tried fucking smoke signals. Then you know that in your pitch, you throw rocks at all of these mechanisms, like, YouTube is shit, and okay, maybe don't do that, but explain to them why these things didn't work, and explain what is the difference with cold email and why that's gonna work, or why you think it's gonna work. Of course, once again, a lot of nuance, a lot of small things to that can go differently here, but that's pretty much the main idea. We want to know where they are at right now, where they want to be, what did they try to close this gap, why it didn't work, and why they personally think it didn't work, because that's also really important. Because sometimes you know that, okay, something didn't work because the execution was fucking trash, but they think it didn't work because their agency was trash. Like, sometimes you have to also navigate around those things pretty carefully, because if you just tell them, no, the agency was fine, you're just fucking trash, it's like, that's gonna completely, like, it's gonna be really hard to sell after that, because it's like, it's a skill issue from them. But of course, be always honest. Never sell something that you don't think will actually help the prospect. And then we go into more so like specific, like service specifics. Like, for example, if you're selling B2B lead generation, how do they generate leads right now? Why that method? What problem do they solve? What's their closing rate? LTV, average deal size, case studies, guarantees. Like, these are really important things for a lead generation agency. But let's say you run a hiring agency and you place talent from some specific country, for example, in the businesses, then of course the information that you are trying to get is probably different. You care about different things, different metrics, different processes inside their business. So these need to be adapted to your case. After you have done the discovery, if the prospect gives you an answer that is too vague or doesn't answer the question like you wanted to, then rephrase the question and dig deeper. So what I always like to do is I line out, what is the question? Why did you agree on this call in the first place? And the goal of this is to understand what made them open to consider your service. And then if they give you a really shit answer, then you dig deeper. Okay, sure, I 100% understand, John, but what specifically intrigued you about my email that made you say yes to this call? Like, what was the specific thing? Because I'm sure you get a lot of emails. You know, you're digging deeper. And then if you're still not getting a good answer, a really good life hack is always to just ask the question, why? You know, like, just be like curious. I think Hormozy says childlike curiosity in the sales process is really great. So that's what I try to use. It's like, why? Interesting. Why? Why did that matter? Why did that spark your interest? Why did you think about that? You know? So always make sure that if you get like a really shit answer, you just don't move on, because then it also shows the prospect that you don't really fucking care, and they know it wasn't a good answer, and then probably the rest of the answers they're also gonna give are gonna be trash, because they know that they don't actually matter. But you want to show them, yes, John, I 100% understand that, but it's really important that I understand specifically what you do, or what problem you solve, or what this metric is. Like, I need to know the specific metric for me to actually be able to tell you if I can help you or not. So this metric, what is it? Tell me now, you know? Then we go into A3, transition, usually 1 to 2 minutes. If the prospect is qualified, you tell them, amazing, John, based on what you told me, what I do is a perfect solution for you, or what we do is a perfect solution for you. Once again, only say this if you think that it's a great solution for them. Like, if you don't think it's gonna help them, don't fucking tell them that it's gonna help them. You know, you're gonna ruin your reputation, you're gonna ruin everything, you're gonna fucking ruin your business. So only sell to prospects. Once again, it's crazy that I have to say, you think that you can help. Of course, in the beginning stages, if you're just starting out, you might not know who those people are, so you have to go with a bit of a broader scope, but still. I'm sure I'm able to help you with achieving their goal in the next whatever time frame is relevant for the goal. I'm also confident that over time I can help you with secondary goal and other goal of course, after I first gotten the main campaigns working. So usually when you talk about goals in the discovery call, they're going to give you their main big goal, but they're also going to give like 2, 3, 4, 5 other things that they want to solve or create or achieve. So what I like to do, once again, only if I believe that it's possible, I also like to bring these things up to paint a bit of a longer term vision and also to excite them a bit more. Like here on this section, transition section, our goal is just to pretty much, they have now gone through like 20 minutes of answering specific questions about their business, yada, yada, yada. They're fucking exhausted. They're like bored, whatever. They have just been talking about like some random numbers. Now we want to spark them up and get them like fucking on an emotional high. So like, yeah, John, man, I 100% believe that this can help you really well. And I'm sure we can get you from 100K to 200K a month in the next 12 months doing this. And I also think that we can probably figure out the sales team issue really soon. Of course, after the first campaigns have started working, you know. Be certain as hell, use declarative voice drops at the end of sentences. So this is like, once again, like small, like micro verbal communication thing. Like when you drop your voice at the end of the sentence, it sounds more authoritative. So once again, only do it if it's natural for you. Don't force it, because once again, you're gonna sound fucking stupid dropping the voice at the end of the sentence. You know, you're gonna do that. It's terrible. And then the last part of the discovery call is the close, which is 3 to 5 minutes. Every single call, even if we are not closing on working with us, we're still closing them on something. So like I mentioned in the beginning of the call, this call was just a discovery call. So what I'll do now is I go back to the drawing board and I'll come up with a custom proposal to fit your situation, and we'll go over it on the next call. So for the next call, does Tuesday or Wednesday work better for you for a 30-minute call? Then they say, Tuesday, amazing, morning or afternoon. Afternoon, amazing, 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Boom, 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 boom. So don't make the scheduling the next call a big deal. Use assuming tone. Act like it's obvious that the next call will be scheduled. So I like to do this. There's multiple different ways to call it, but I always like to just use the assumption close, aka I'm already assuming that of course they're going to schedule in the demo call, and I'm just asking questions based on that. Amazing, John. So like I said, we got to have the next call. So does Tuesday or Thursday work better for you? So we give them like a yes or yes answer. Like, do you want the call or do you want the call? You know, if you ask them, hey, do you want the call? Like, hey, John, do you want to hop on the next call or not? Like, once again, it's like there's an opportunity for them to say no. Some people just automatically say no to things. So just give them a yes or yes question, closing the meeting. And I like to use this like yes or yes ladder. Hey, Tuesday or Thursday, morning or afternoon, 2 or 3 p.m. So it's just yes, yes, yes. You know, I like that. But once again, you can do it like in different ways. But just assume it, make it like obvious that it's call is going to be scheduled anyway, so there's no room for pondering if they should hop on a call or not. Amazing. I'll send you a calendar invitation for day and time you just booked. Also, like I mentioned in the beginning in the next call, we'll make a yes or no decision if we will move forward with this or not. To make that happen, do we need to have someone else on the call with us to make a decision or on this call, or are you the only decision maker? And the reason why we do this is because in my experience, one of the hardest obstacles or objections to handle in sales calls is, hey, I need to talk to my business partner. I need to talk to someone else in the company. And yes, you can use the fancy, really gimmicky sales tricks that you find on YouTube. Like, hey, what would your partner feel like if you did this, and what if they said no? Would you still do it? Like 100% that works, but in my experience, when selling B2B and when selling more expensive shit, it's not really a great way for you to start a relationship. It's, in my opinion, a bit scummy to do that with B2B. Sometimes, yes, 100%. Like if you're selling a fucking electricity contract or something small, 100%. Like it's not a massive life decision, and people are just making it bigger in their head. And a lot of people are using it as a smokescreen. But when selling B2B, like it is an actual real objection that there might be. They 100% might have to check with someone else who is in charge of the budget or who is in charge of this or that, you know. So we want to make sure that we don't get hit with this objection, because it's really hard to handle on call. So we ask, hey, John, by the way, in the next call, because we're going to make a yes or no decision, does someone else from your company need to be there to make a decision, or are you the only decision maker on this? And they say, yeah, actually marketing Mark should be there because he runs the marketing department. Okay, fantastic. What is Mark's email? I'll add him to this call as well. And then they say mark@blah.com. Fantastic, I sent him an invite. If for some reason Mark can't join the call at this time, just let me know via email and we'll reschedule it for a time that also works for Mark. Boom, don't make it a big deal. And then you just summarize. And I like to really like nail down on facts and details and timeframes on sales calls, because a confused prospect never buys. So you need to achieve clarity. So I like to really hammer down on details. Perfect, John. Super happy to get that we're going to do the next call and we got the chance to connect. So to summarize once more, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's really important we're on the same page. We just booked Thursday, 2 p.m. for this call. And on this call, it's going to be you, and it's also going to be marketing Mark. And in this call, we'll go through what it looks like to work with us, the timeframes, the expectations, different results, prices, guarantees, and everything else that is necessary for you to get the full context. Then based on that, we'll make a decision if we will move forward with this or not. Make sense? Boom. Prospect freeze. Perfect. I'll send you a recording of this call and a quick summary of the notes I took over email in a few minutes. I'll also forward them to the marketing Mark to make sure we are all on the same page on Thursday, 2 p.m. Any other questions? Great. It was great meeting you. Talk to you soon. Boom. And then at the end of the call, you take the call recording that you recorded, you send it to the person you had a call with, and if you had to add any other people to the next call, you send it also to them. So they can watch it. They won't in a lot of cases, but they have the opportunity to watch the call. And then if you took notes, like you should have, you also send those notes in a bit of a nicer formatted way to the prospect. And that just shows good salesmanship, it shows professionalism, it shows that you know what the fuck you're doing. People appreciate that. People appreciate good salespeople. So do that. It helps a lot. And it also makes sure that there's like before the call starts, let's say the call is in like 2 days, 3 days, your prospect is like, oh, I had this call, I can't remember what we talked about. Oh, this guy sent me notes. I'll go see the notes. And then they go and they see the notes. And also I like to send a Loom summary of the notes to all the prospects to make sure that there's like full context and they can remind themselves in a few minutes. And by the way, one thing, after you have done the discovery call, don't book the demo call more than 3 days, max 5 days into advance. But you should always try to do it the next day or the day after, max 3 days into the future. Because if there's more time than that, the prospects are going to fucking forget what you're talking about and blah, blah, blah. Everything's going to come up. So make sure that the call is booked fairly short term into the future. And after discovery call, we're going to have the demo call. So this is going to be the closing call, the pitching call, the call where we actually get the deal done. And this call is going to be a few days later. And here at the intro, once again, 2 to 3 minutes. Hey John, can you hear and see me okay? Perfect. How's life been out there in where the fuck they live? If you asked for this fact, once again, shows that you remember things from the call and you listen to them. So how's life been there in New York? Fantastic, amazing. Love to hear that. Also great to meet you. Great to meet you, Marketing Mark. Were you able to check the email I sent to you last Monday? Amazing. Yeah, I was able to look at some notes and I looked a little bit of the call recording. Everything sounds good. Great. So are we all ready to jump straight in? And then the prospects say, yes, let's do it. Or maybe they say, no, actually something crazy happened. But in most cases, they're going to say, yes, let's do it. Amazing. So just to recap, last Monday, we had a call with John where we went through your current situation and goals. And here are pretty much just catching up any other new people who haven't been in the call before to what you have talked about. Based on that call, we both agreed that there is a great opportunity for us to work together to get you to your desired state and time frame, to get you from 100K a month to 200K a month in the next 12 months. And because of that, we decided to schedule this call to go through exactly what it looks like to work with us in terms of what we specifically do for you, what it costs, what the process looks like, etc. So in this call, we'll go through all of those things, and at the end of the call, we'll make a yes or no decision on if we'll move forward with this or not. Sound fair? Boom. Then the prospects say, yes, sounds great, amazing. And just to confirm before we move forward, do we have everyone today on this call that we need to make this decision? If for some reason you don't have all the necessary decision makers on board, reschedule the call 1 to 3 days in the future. I have just once again learned that this, even though you're going to lose some prospects by doing that, overall on a long-term time frame, after 50, 100 calls, your closing rate is going to be higher and your time input is going to be lower. So you're going to get higher leverage on your sales costs. Then we go into information check. So this is really important. Before we move on to the presentation, let's quickly go over what we discussed last call to make sure we are all still on the same page on this. So last call you mentioned that right now you are at $100,000 a month, and you, like in 1 to 2 sentences, you describe their current situation, and then you check through your main note question by question. Don't just blast through all of them at once. Go question by question. After each question, give the prospect a few seconds to think and add to the notes if necessary. Sometimes people look at their notes and they have this big list of notes listed and they're like, hey, just to make sure we're all on the same page, you said this and this and this and this and this and that and that and that and that. Is that okay? And the prospect fucking didn't have any chance to add anything, or he doesn't even remember what you said. And they're like, yeah, sounds good. But pretty much what you're doing here is you're doing two things. First of all, when you go to your notes and you look at your notes and you're like, last call you said that you're doing right now 100,000 a month, right? And they're like, yes. And you want to be at 200,000 a month, yeah? They say yes. And you have used this cold email, or you have used this lead generation mechanism, and you have done this, and you tried this, and you tried this, you know? You go each one of them one by one, and you always give them a little bit of time to say, yes, that is correct, or to say, actually, because sometimes what happens is in the discovery call, you get a bunch of notes, you get a bunch of context, bunch of information about the prospect's current situation. And then they leave the call and they go and they talk to their team, or they just think about it themselves, whatever it might be. And they come up with other things that are really relevant to the sales call. And for example, maybe they remember that they actually have tried cold email before 2 years ago. And this is something that is really important for you to know, so you can tailor your pitch once again towards this fact. So then when you go through these things, they're like, and you also said that you have never tried cold email. Is that still correct? And they're like, actually, I remember that 2 years ago we did try cold email. And then you go and do a little bit of mini discovery, see how it went, see what they did, etc. And you can use this information. Because what happens really easily is if you have the wrong data, you have wrong information, and you are tailoring your pitch based on this information, you're giving them the wrong pitch. The pitch is not relevant. It doesn't attack their current false beliefs or bad experiences or objections, whatever it might be. So you always need to be up to date before going into the pitch. So check through your main notes. Then we go into the pitch, which is usually 5 to 10 minutes. Remember that no pitch is the same. It should be adapted to the prospect situation and your own style of selling. This pitch is based on a sales presentation using this sales deck. So this is like an old sales deck, or not super old sales deck, but this is like a sales deck that we used to use. This is what it looked like, really simple. Big claim, proof, core concept, process, or like benefits here, background, process, unique mechanism, and then you explain through all of these things, etc. And then we go into like process, benefits, features, painting the picture into the future, example like price handling or price objection handling, and then you have the close and next steps. But not everyone uses a sales deck, and that is completely fine. We have a sales deck that we use for bigger deals. It looks a bit different nowadays. It's a bit prettier and has a bit more other data and like million case studies, etc. But in a lot of cases, I also like to use a whiteboard. And that's the reason why I like to use a whiteboard, is that is the style of selling that I learned 8 years ago. That's what I got taught, and I've just used it for a long time. It's really natural for me. So just make sure that you adapt your pitch to whatever your style of selling is. I just always like to have something on the screen to visualize things, because if you're just talking, you're only like hitting their like audio, whatever. You're only like, they're only hearing the information. But if you're talking and showing it on the screen, you're also hitting their audio side of things, but you're also showing it visually. So they retain more of the information. And in a lot of cases, they also understand it better. So that's why I like to use a deck or a whiteboard, but there's really no need to do any of those things if you don't feel like doing that, you know? But still, all of the rules of the pitch or the pitch structure is going to apply perfectly no matter what you do. So great, thank you for that. You know, you say first you get the question answered there. Yeah, great, thank you for answering those. Now let's get into our offer. Is it okay if I share my screen? Wait for the prospect to give you permission to share and share your screen. Wait a few seconds for your screen to show up. Amazing, John, can you see my screen? Fantastic. Mark, can you see it? Yes, I can. Boom. So like I said, I'm here to help you get end result in time frame without pain point. So I'm here trying to help you, or I'm here to help you achieve 200,000 a month in the next 12 months without whatever pain point is the biggest pain for them right now. And no, I'm not just talking from both ends of my mouth. I actually did successfully. For example, I helped company X to get these results, or company Y to get these results. Here, you want to drop 1 to 5 case studies. Don't spend too much time going through them. Just quickly cover them in a story format. Describe their starting situation and the results they got and how it affected their business / life. Try to bring out commonalities between the case study companies and them. You can also show your own calendar if you have a lot of calls booked. This is more so for people who run a lead generation agency and they're just starting out. But for a lot of people, this won't be really necessary. But pretty much what you just want to do. So I actually do it successfully. We already have a process that works. For example, we worked with this brand. When they came to us, they were at this situation. They had really big struggle with this thing. We worked with them for this time and we were doing this and this and this. And now 8 months later, this is how their business is looking like. This is the results they're getting. And this is what has happened and blah, 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 you know? So you bring them like in story format, you go over a few case studies. And the reason why you use a story format is because it's just more engaging and people like hearing stories. And second of all, you try to bring out any commonalities. So there was actually this brand that was exactly the same to you guys. They were in the same niche. They were doing the same thing. They had the same problem. They had the same experiences. Like it shows that, okay, it's possible also for them. So obviously the harsh reality is like that most niche companies struggle with lead generation, whatever it might be. You pretty much go through your core concept here in the next few slides or in the next few minutes. And pretty much what a core concept just means is that in every single niche and for every single prospect, there's always one big limiting belief. Like maybe they think that ads don't work for them in their niche, or maybe they think that no one uses email anymore, or maybe they think that doing direct response copywriting like ruins their brand, whatever. Every niche and every person has their own limiting belief, and you have to destroy this limiting belief to sell them. You know, like if someone believes that ads don't work in their niche and you're trying to sell them ads, no matter how fucking good your offer is, like they're not gonna buy that. So you first have to destroy this big limiting belief, and usually when you destroy this big limiting belief, like you can think about it as like the domino falling, and it destroys all the small limiting beliefs. So after you have gone through the case studies or any testimonials and results, whatever it might be, you just want to spend a few minutes showcasing why that limiting belief is wrong and making an argument why actually ads do work in their niche. Like you can say, hey, so for example, a lot of companies in your niche, they believe that ads don't work for them, but actually boom, 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 boom. And then you show them that ads actually work in their niche, and then you can go on, you know? There's a solution. Blah, 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 blah. Also here, when you talk about these things, make sure that you have a certain and confident tone. Say this like it's a cold hard fact. Try to have bottled up enthusiasm, like you're trying to hold yourself back from excitement. So this is a style of, or this is like a type of tonality that Jordan Belfort talks about, bottled up enthusiasms. Like imagine like you win the lottery. You win fucking $10 million in the lottery. And you can't tell everyone, or like you're planning on telling everyone at the same, like all your friends and your family and everyone at the same time. So how are you gonna be before that moment? Like 2 minutes before, you're gonna be like really trying to like keep that enthusiasm and that excitement inside you. So you're gonna be talking like, yeah, man, like fucking great. So state these things as they're like cold hard facts. Like, yeah, obviously a lot of people in your niche think that ads don't work for them, right? But actually, and you're like enthusiastic, but you're trying to hold yourself back because you're not like fucking going all over the place. You're not like screaming and hitting the desk, whatever, but you're still showing that you're enthusiastic. So then you go over your, like background, and yeah, because of this, so because whatever your core concept was, for the past time frame, we have focused on finding a predictable way on doing this in your niche, boom, boom, boom. Really quickly about me, and then you go over your slide. So usually in this slide, you want to have like your name and your biggest achievements and maybe information about your company as well. Once again, to give a bit more background and build that trust. And then we go into the actual process. So you say, hey, before we dive into the details, I want to give you a high level overview, and slow your speech down here and focus on having a certain as hell tone. Think about it. How do you sound when you're certain as hell? Like if your friend is like telling you, no, like this is a fact, like they are like, let's say you're arguing about a football match that happened last night, and you watched the football match and you had a big bet on it, and you know for a fact what the end score was and end outcome was, and your friend is like, no, it was different outcome, it was like different score, and you're certain as hell like, man, like just go check it out, look up from Google, man, I watched the game, I know what the end score was, obviously, you know, certain as hell tone. So then you go over your process and the simple core steps of it. So once again, like this is Legion specific, so this doesn't really matter how you go over it. But pretty much the whole idea here, what you're trying to do is you go over, okay, whatever you sell, it's like, okay, this is what our process looks like. It's based on 5 steps. First we do this, then we do that, then we do this, then we do that, then we do this. Any questions on this? And they're like, no, it makes sense. Amazing. Hey, now we are going to go into the details and I'll show you how every single step works. And then when you have sold them the big process high level overview, hey, these are the 5 steps you use. You need to double down and sell each one of these steps. So let's say you do advertising, and the first part of like creating ad campaigns is market research. So then after you've shown them the big process, you're like, okay, amazing. So the first thing we do is we do market research, and the reason why we do this is this, and if you don't do this, this happens, and this is how we have done it successfully, and this is what it looks like, and this is our process, and this is how long it takes, and this is boom, 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 boom. You give them all the information of every single step. Remember, a confused prospect never buys. So make sure that you give them clarity, you show them exactly how everything works, and you sell each one of these steps at a time. Like, I don't know, you probably have seen me talk about this, but if I go on Miro, so pretty much every single time when you're selling something, you're always selling a transformation. You're selling someone a transformation. Right now, they are currently at stage A and they want to be at stage B, and that is why they are looking to work with you. And pretty much your offer is this part here. It is the arrow. It is the bridge that gets from A to B. That is what you're selling. You're selling a mechanism for that. And for that mechanism to work, there are going to be certain steps that you have to go over for them to go from A to B. First, you have to do market research, then you have to set up their Facebook pixel, then you have to build a funnel, boom, 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 create ad creatives, write ad copy, launch, iterate. So you first show them, hey, this is the high level overview of how you're gonna go from A to B. They say amazing. And then you show them, this step is fucking important as hell, and this step is important as hell, and this step is important as hell, and this step is important as hell. This step is also important as hell. Like, you sell them all these steps, you know, and then at the end you're like, hey, if you want to go from A to B, you want to use this process, and we will do every single piece of the process, you know. So it creates this amazing like end conclusion for them. And once again, I opened Slack. Fucking my hotkeys are completely messed up. Yeah. So you go over those things, you show them the process, all of the piece of it, etc. And then you go into closing and handling objections. So here pretty much like adapt it just to your pitch. You just go over pretty much, this is the big high level process, these are the steps. And yeah. So in terms of the price, when we start working together, I'll set up whatever, I'll do whatever features. So for example, in lead gen, I'll set up 20 email accounts on 10 domains. I'll get you 3,000 leads every month. I'll also write all the email sequences and handle all the conversation with interested prospects on a daily basis. I'll run A/B tests every single week and optimize their campaigns. And on top of this, to make sure you're happy and satisfied with everything, I'll give you a 30-day 100% satisfaction guarantee. And once again, adapted this to your guarantees and your process. But let's say you just told them, hey, you need to do market research, you need to build a funnel, you need to run ads. They're like fucking fully bought into this because you just gave them a really good presentation of why these things are important. And then you say, hey, when you start working together, I will do the market research for you, I will build the funnel, I will run the ads. Boom. No other things needed, you know, like you do everything. And on top of this, you will get these guarantees. This means that for the first 30 days, you can work with us 100% risk-free, and if for some reason after 30 days you're not 100% confident that our partnership will be profitable for you or something else isn't exactly like you want it to be, you can let me know and I'll refund you everything. And this is, by the way, a really killer guarantee. I have used this a lot, and even though it sounds risky, 30% 100% satisfaction guarantee, 30-day 100% satisfaction guarantee sounds risky as hell, but if actually you set realistic expectations and then you match those expectations when the client actually pays you, like there's not going to be refunds. Like the refund rate of this guarantee is like 0.7% or something based on like data of working with over 500 agencies and seeing like tens of thousands of deals and fucking millions of dollars generated with this exact script. And yeah, normally this package would cost you, and I like to do this. I do this to like a incentive-based close. So normally for this whole thing, for me to do the research and me to build the funnel and run the ads and have the guarantee and fucking do all of these things and do backflips on the calls, this package would cost you $10,000, but since going back and forth is time consuming and expensive, as long as we make the decision right now, I can give you the full plan for $7,500, aka you are saving $2,500 because you're making the decision on this call. And notice, small thing here, not super important, but helps. You're not saying if you make a decision on this call, you are saying because you're making the decision on this call. You're assuming that they're going to make the decision on this call. Based on everything you've seen, does this seem like an absolute terrible idea to start the process and book our onboarding call for next week? Laugh a bit like it's once again an absolute no-brainer offer and assume that they of course want to get started, you know? Like, amazing, John, like you're saving $2,500, you have this guarantee, we do fucking all of these things for you, you know? Like, based on this and based on everything that you have seen, does it sound like the worst idea in the world for us to book an onboarding call for next Wednesday? And they're like, no, let's do it, man. Like, that's if everything has gone fine. But also, a normal, natural part of the sales process is objection. So if the prospect gives resistance, like they usually do in most calls, what you always want to do, I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. Does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? So this is how we go into objection handling. So the prospect might say, yeah, this is interesting, but I'm not 100% sure if this is the right fit for our company. So what I always like to do, I'm like, yeah, 100% John, I hear what you're saying, but can I just ask you one question? So does the idea in itself make sense to you? Like using this process, doing these steps, like do you like that idea in itself? And then they either say no, which means that they don't trust your process to get results, or they say yes, like that fucking sounds great. If that's the thing, then you know that, okay, it's a logistical issue in most cases, or maybe the price is too big for them, like in their head. Usually that means that it's a price issue or just a decision-making issue in general. They just don't have a frame for that. And from that, we transition into looping. In 90% of the cases, the prospects will give you resistance and objections. Don't worry, it's part of the sales process. It's supposed to happen. Dig out these objections and clarify them to make sure you understand the objection. When you clarify the objection, just use an objection handling sheet. I recommend everyone to have one. This is what we use for handling lead generation agency objections, but you should have all possible objections that you get on a call and have them in a Google sheet, and you just loop through them. So you say, hey, 100%, but do you like the idea? Yes, I do like the idea. Amazing. So what's the thing standing between us? Is it the price? Is it the time frame? What's the thing? They're like, yeah, the price is a bit steep for us. 100% John, I understand, but, and then you go into objection handler, you explain them why it's actually not expensive, or why actually they should make the investment, or whatever it might be. And then you ask for the deal again. 100% John, I understand. I also agree. Everything what we buy in the world could be less expensive, but also, to be honest, it's only expensive if you think of it as an expense and not as an investment. So if you think about it like this, let's say you invest right now $10,000 in doing this with us, and then in the next 12 months, you make an extra $700,000 from this, or whatever is realistic. Once again, you don't want to promise the moon from the sky here, because that's going to fuck you super hard. But let's say that's a realistic thing. Or let's say it's even smaller, like 100,000. Like, let's say you invest $10,000 right now into doing with us, and it's a guaranteed investment. You have this guarantee, so you're not gonna lose this money. You're either gonna win, or everything's gonna stay the same. And you make $100,000 back in the next 6 months from this investment. Do you think that is a good investment for your business to make? $10,000 for $100,000 with no risk. That's actually a pretty good investment. Yes, that's what I mean. Amazing, John. Does Wednesday work for the onboarding call? Boom. And then you just go, after the prospect says, yes, I wanna do this, you just start the onboarding process. Hey, super excited to start working with you on this, guys. So for onboarding, the process is simple. I'll send you a contract via email right now with all the details. Go through that today. Let me know if there are any questions. It should be fairly straightforward. If it's a smaller company and smaller business and there's no legal teams and lawyers, you can just sign the contract immediately in the call if there's time. That's way better, because you can go over to the contract in the call live. And I like to do that anyways, to show them, hey, by the way, this is what the contract looks like, and run over all the things. And I'll also send you an invoice and then your incentive price to the same email. In some cases, once again, if it's a smaller deal and if it's a cultural norm in that geographical area where you're doing business, you can also collect the money upfront in the call. But for example, in Scandinavia, we send invoices all the time. So yeah, we just do invoices. Amazing. Boom, I'll also create a Slack channel that we'll use for communication throughout our partnership. Is it the same email fine for our Slack invite? And the reason why we create the Slack invite immediately is because we want to already get the ball started, you know, before the prospect has signed the agreement and done any of these things. We want to already get started, so then there's more commitment. Client agrees or gives you another email, great. And for the onboarding call, let's actually get that scheduled right now so we can get started with this immediately. Schedule a 60-minute onboarding call, try to get it as soon as possible. The same day is best. Perfect. We'll start creating the infrastructure immediately after the call ends and building a strategy for this. The reason why we say this is because, once again, commitment. It's like harder for them to back out because it already has been started. And then you just go over everything. So that's pretty much how it fucking works. That's the sales process we have used for a super long time. It works like smooth as butter. It's fucking great. Go put it. You can find the sales process or sales thing in the description as well, the scripts and everything. Drop a like, subscribe, check the links in the description, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.